Chanel, and you are tuned into the Creatives Corner. And I'm here with my sis. I hope you don't got corona. My sis, Kyra Knox, over here sneezing. Kyra, hello.
Hi.
What an entry. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. Well, welcome to
I have allergies.
I'm glad this is a Zoom call and not an in-person.
What an entrance. And this is me.
Right. That's her. That's what you get. I'm cracking up right now. Oh, man. That's hilarious. All right. Well, we started off on a good roll, but Kyra Knox, you're awesome. So I want you to begin this segment by telling a little bit about yourself, because like your rap sheet is super long.
It's
and
not.
it really is. And I would rather you, tell it in your own form. So please tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Kyra Knox. I am at the young age of 36.
You look 12.
Thank you. I started out 6 years old, proud student of Freedom Theater. From there, went to Philadelphia High School of Creative Performing Arts. After I graduated, I got the opportunity to perform off-Broadway, Corner Wars, which won Best Original Best Original Play. And they won the 2003 Oppenheimer Award. From there, my grandfather, he did pass away, and I did quit the arts for 10 years because my grandfather was basically like my father. So that really, it was tough for me to go through. And then once I got engaged, I felt like something was still missing in my life. So I got back into the arts, went back to Mr. Mel Williams, who gave me my opportunity to perform off-Broadway. Numerous showcases. I finally wrote my own one-woman show called Inner Strength, which got accepted to the United Solo Arts Festival, and I got to perform at Theater Row in Manhattan, which was a huge deal. And then I got into producing, and Jason Williams gave me my first shot of being a line producer for a commercial after I did lots of short films for free just to gain experience. And then in 2018, I took that leap of faith. I quit my corporate job to follow my dreams. And when I was the lead actor at Tweed Video Productions for their short film video path, they gave me a shot to work at their company. I was only working there one day a week, didn't have no title, nothing.
Okay.
No one knew what I did. And then a few months later, they gave me the title of associate producer. A few months after that, I was casting 5 different series for AOL Verizon Media. And there I started becoming their field producer, and I got to travel, and I basically produced and directed majority of the episodes in 2019.
Sheesh. And you said your rap sheet wasn't long. It's not long at all. It's just a little stuff. It'll take me about 7 to 10 minutes. But let me sum it up. You literally have done a lot. And I feel really honored to be a part of some of that journey in a sense, because, I remember when you were like, Chanel, do you think I should do this?
Yeah, I did.
I don't see why not. So I do remember, that moment. I guess the overall journey, what was that moment like? What was that moment? Can you explain that moment when you realized okay, producing is my calling. This is something that I love to do, that I want to do for the rest of my life. What was that moment, or when, or where was that moment? Where were you? How were you feeling?
I think that moment came from being able to be a part of the full process. As an actor, you're only there during production, and then you see the end result.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I love the fact that I was able to be a part of casting. I was able to be a part of where we're going to film these scenes, like all of that behind the scenes part of it. I love the fact that I can eat whatever I want.
Honestly, it's so hard being an actor.
And I love the fact of like, the end process, picking music and editing everything and just that whole creative thing. So I love being part of a process from beginning to the end. And that's what really made me like producing. And it's hard. Producing is very, very hard. But I really enjoy it.
No, I've seen some of the stuff you do, and I just be like, wow, yep. I'm gonna
Stop.
take action because I'm not doing all that.
It's a lot of work.
Because people have a perspective of a producer. Like, people don't know how pivotal the producer is when it comes to a production.
Yeah.
So I guess in your words, define what does a producer do on set, on film, the process.
We make shit happen.
True. But for people don't know what that is, try to explain for people, because some people just be like, oh, you're a producer, okay. Like, no, you're a producer, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, one thing is that we deal with budgets, the money. Where can we put our best use of whatever budget that we have, which means sometimes we got to make hard cuts. Sometimes we can't have as many people. Sometimes you have to cut scenes. Sometimes you have to rewrite things just because of budget. We also deal with casting. We deal with locations, trying to find locations. Who's going to let us film there? I remember I did a shoot in LA for a docu-series for James Ian, and we had this idea because he plays all this music, all these instruments. So we had this idea of, let's call different stores and see if they'll let us film them there. No, like they told us no. They basically played, and it was just like, oh, it was frustrating. So then also being a producer is, okay, what's your next best idea? So then we got the idea of filming him playing his guitar behind the Hollywood sign. So you have to be creative. You have to think on your toes. Oh God, what else about a producer? Creating a storyline, especially when you're doing docu-series, you have all these interviews, going through the transcripts, how can you put the viewer through this whole entire journey? And sometimes you only have 5 minutes to make an episode. So then you're like, what can I cut? Oh, I don't want to cut this part, but I have to. So making those type of tough decisions. Releases, getting all the releases, picking good crew, picking good PAs. Like, it's so much that goes into producing. Also, music, you got to find music libraries where it's cheaper to have this music because you want to showcase your episodes throughout social media without getting shut down. So finding music, which also goes back to our number one thing, budget, So it's a lot. And I haven't even listed not even 50% of everything that goes into it. That's just like a short version.
Y'all, that's the short version. They are the backbone of a production. Literally the backbone. If you are a director or writer and you're trying to figure out how to format a production team, a producer is very important. And I feel like everybody's very important, but that producer, man, they really got to make sure that tone is set right for your film, because
you have to make sure that people eat.
Hello,
budget, so it's like all of these different things that people don't think of. How are people going to pay for parking? Budget. It's like so many tiny things that people don't think of that we have to think of.
Right. At the end of the day, producing, budget.
Budget. I tell people all the time, budget. I've cut people budgets in half because I'm like, if you don't have this, then this scene isn't going to work.
Right.
So you gotta cut it or you gotta rewrite it. And I always tell people, write according to your budget. If you don't have a lot of money, then put your characters in a scene where you're not going to need a lot of things, because you never want to skimp out on your sound. You never want to skimp out on your lighting, so put your actors in scenes where, you know, you don't have to sacrifice major things like sound and light and whatever like that.
Right.
Right, according to your budget.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Look, y'all hear that? Y'all might want to be taking notes because Kyra Knox is about to let you know what it takes. Okay.
Budget.
So for producing, I know a lot of people who will want to get into it. And, you know, a lot of times in the industry, when you're trying to get into like the media aspect or the background, sometimes it's internships how you have to get in there. So with you, you were an actress who they gave a shot.
Yeah.
For other people, how could they search up more information about producing? Like, do you have any resources that you know of where they can find, get into it, possibly, you know, learn, get in a class or something like that? Do you know of any resources to get into that producers world?
Well, I think the reason why they gave me my shot is that I did have a tiny bit of experience. I didn't have a lot of experience, but I did have a tiny bit of experience. I didn't go to college for this. But what I did was I took classes at Philly Camp. Philly Cam, a lot of people don't realize that Philly Cam exists. You know, I took a class for only like all my classes were only $75. You know, and some of the classes were for 4 weeks, some of the classes were for 7 to 8 weeks, you know, and that was a huge help for me because they helped me learn the basics of production. Another thing that I did is that when I was on sets, I would, of course, you know, you want to talk to your actor friends and everything like that. But if you're really trying to get behind the scenes, talk to the crew. I mean, that's honestly what I did with Tweed. I would talk to the crew, you know, and tell them more about what I'm doing and pick their brain. Another thing is relationships. People don't realize relationships really, really matter. Jason Williams was my teacher at an acting school. He's the person that gave me my first paid opportunity when he decided to do his own first commercial. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's all about building those relationships, going to free workshops, even go on like Sundance. Sundance always has workshops.
It do.
Yeah, like look at workshops, like do all of those type of things. And that's someone that didn't go to college for this. So I really had to drag myself through the mud in order to get some opportunities versus people that go to college, they have like, you know, professors and they're able to build more relationships.
I think what's important is that you're sharing that like you don't have to go to college to find this career path.
Mm-mm.
And a lot of people think like, oh, I missed my time because I didn't do it in college. Or right now with a lot of internships, it requires you to be in college, but it's like, no, if you network, if you find those classes, and one important thing that I've kind of like I've been discussing with a couple of people is that how can I help them?
Right.
And then from there, when you build those good bridges, it continues to, you know, you get a networking pool. So when you decide to do something, it's just like, oh, you've been here for me for the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, like, you know, let me give you a shot. One other thing is how important is it when it comes to being on set about punctuality, about basically knowing your stuff. I know, but for everybody looking out, everybody out there, I know that there is a certain code of conduct that you have when you're on set. But in your world, how important is that, especially when building those networking pools, when networking with other people? How important is that to produce?
Be on time. Be on time because as a producer, we make a schedule. And even if you're 5 minutes late, that can throw the whole entire schedule off and then people lose out on money. You know, be on time. If you're working behind the scenes, if you don't know something, just ask. There's been so many times that especially in the beginning, that I didn't know anything. And I would just ask. Even like I would ask the camera operator, like you just ask, you know. Now, if you're a PA, don't ask the director anything. You want to ask like your production coordinator, you know. Always be prepared. don't ever stand around doing nothing. I know I was a production assistant on a Spotify Sprite docuseries, and they actually bumped up my pay to an extra $100 per day because they loved the fact that I never sat down doing nothing. I was constantly cleaning. I was constantly asking if they needed water, if they need this, if they need that. And one of the major people that was part of the production, she actually started following me, and she's been following my journey. And her and I have talked, a few months ago about possibly being able to work on one of her productions in a higher level. So you have to realize that no job is too small. You might be a production assistant, but you're building, again, relationships. So always, always keep busy. Never sit down doing nothing. Always be busy. People remember that, and they want to hire you back again and again and again and again. When I was an actor on Video Path, I think one of the main reasons that I got hired at Tweet is because I started saving their ass in continuity. And that's what they said to me. Oh God, you saved me on continuity. I started doing things as if I was a PA, even though I was an actor. So it's just like those little things that get you, recognized with people in higher levels.
I feel like it's important to, even if you're like an actor, producer, writer, creative director, it doesn't matter. I feel like it's important to see every aspect of film, to understand it more. Because I'm an actor, as you know, but I've been a PA or I've been a producer on something, and I know the importance of punctuality. I know the importance of always helping out. I know the importance of basically putting your best foot forward, and also having the energy and positivity on set.
Yes.
When one person, it takes one bad apple to ruin
a whole bunch.
Like, and you can't take things personal on set, and that's in any aspect of the industry, because if you do and that attitude shows, they're gonna remember that. Yes. And that's gonna be the only thing they remember when it's 5 years down the line. Like, oh yeah, you that girl that was pissed off. Like,
you can't take nothing personal. I mean, there's been times that on set there's been tension, and the way that I would break the tension up is that I'll say, "Ooh, we being a little spicy today, aren't we?" And automatically that person would start laughing, and then that would diffuse like a bad situation that's going on. So that's another good thing you should know as a producer, is knowing how to diffuse potential bad issues within crew.
You have great energy though. So like, Kyra is bubbly. I mean, she has her spicy times, as she call it, but she's a really a ball of energy. Like, Kyra's just like, we're here, then we're here, then we're here. I've had her on a set or two. Okay, she'll look at you like, it's 10:04. We got 60 seconds. I don't like. It's 10:04. Like, we need.
Like, what's up?
What are we doing here? Time is money.
Like, let's go. What's up?
I feel like we need that. We need that on a set. But you talked about Tweed. Talk about some of the projects that you have done. You said you work with Spotify. But I know that you have several segments like Lifers, Uncommon Ground. I know that you have people. Like, just talk about some of the projects that you worked on.
Let's see. Beating the Odds was one of my favorite projects that I worked on. It had to deal with people that had disabilities or mental illness, but we only touched on it. It was all about, they're just like us. They're just like, like James Ian, he had this muscle condition where sometimes he could just collapse on the ground, or when we had him up in a Hollywood sign, we had to let him out in the car because he couldn't walk up a path. It was too tiring for him. But yet he's this musician and he plays live on stage. Or, Lolo, who was doing huge things in the film. She is the first Black woman that has a disability that had a leading part in the film that was part of Cannes and Sundance, so I love that series. Another series that I love was Uncommon Ground. Uncommon Ground had to do with fringe communities and what us outsiders could learn about and from them. So, and that was very hard to cast because you're allowing a crew who you have no idea who they are into your personal world where people could potentially judge you. You know, so we did everything from polyamorous relationships. We did the House of Extravaganza. We did the Juggalos, which was the most insane shoot I've ever been on. We did people that are obsessed with K-pop. We did Wiccans, you know, like we did women skateboarders, women motorcycles. Like that was so much fun. We also did Good People. It was a blessing for me to even put my cousin, who has his own organization, Shoot Basketballs Not People, out for millions of people to see, you know, and talk about what he does. So I really, really love doing docuseries and bringing people's stories to life. And one of the things that I've always gotten a compliment about is that they always tell me that I make them feel comfortable. And they love the end product of the videos because I never, especially with Uncommon Ground, I never make them look like freaks, you know? I make them, they're just normal people. They just have their own things that they want to do, you know? What makes it so different than what our interests are, you know? So.
That's dope.
Thank you.
You're so dope.
I feel like I'm rambling.
You're not. I'm trying to tell you, like, what we do, we think it's nothing. We think it's just a part of our routine. We think it's something that we love. But there's somebody out there that will get inspired by what you're saying, will feel like the same way. Oh, yeah, I like to do that, you know, too. Wow, maybe I should go and search up more about that. Maybe I should watch those videos or learn more about people with disabilities and normalize them instead of ostracizing them. So you're not rambling. You're feeding us information. Okay. I do know we are winding closer to the final questions. It literally flies. Once you start talking about something, it's just like, oh,
I see.
We're almost done.
Yes.
But the one thing I did want to talk about is I personally know, but you have been posting a lot on social media about the Arts Aid PHL fund. I know as an artist, it has to be difficult during this time with the industry being shut down. I would just like to know, how has it been for you? What are the things that you are doing to stay positive? And what is your quarantine routine as your final?
Gotcha. Okay, so it's been very, very hard for me. I'm a wife. I did not sign up to be a stay-at-home wife, you know, so this is like my worst nightmare ever. I'm used to being able to be at work, travel, and so this has been very tough on me. So my mental health it's been bad. You know, some days I would just lay in bed and do absolutely nothing. So because I was struggling so much with my mental health, I came up with an idea to produce a doc. I don't know if it's going to be a short or a feature. It all depends on how long this quarantine lasts.
Right.
But I decided to produce a doc featuring individuals and how each person is dealing with the quarantine and their mental health. And it's been very, very interesting how each person is handling it in a completely different way. It's very, very fascinating. So that has kind of like helped me a little bit because I'm still being creative. It's been very hard to produce remotely because I'm used to having a camera crew with me and being able to get the B-roll that I need and want. So it's really been, they send me their video diaries. And then I look at it and say, next time, can you get this? Or can you make sure that when you're doing your diary, think about what B-roll I can get that will make it look more interesting, because you don't want to have a bunch of talking head. Talking head basically is what people are saying with this. You're just seeing a person talk the whole time. So you want to lay B-roll on it so that the story becomes more interesting to the viewer. So that's been very difficult and a challenge. So that's one thing that I've been working on. And honestly, I don't have a quarantine routine because I feel as though that if I give myself a routine and I don't accomplish it that day, then I beat myself up for it. And then my mental health starts like really like fighting myself, you know.
That's really deep because a lot of people be like, oh, you need to do this, you need to set a
No,
yourself, you need to no, you need to just
you just have to be like, what I tell people all the time is that it's not like we're in a snowstorm and then in a week later the snow is going to melt and then we're all going to go back to work. You know, this is something that we have never dealt with in our generation, you know. So if you're having a bad week and you just want to lay in bed and watch TV all day, that's okay. If that next week you have a burst of energy and now you want to be creative and you want to do this and you do that, that's okay. The next week, if you just want to eat chips and dip all day and just be outside,
that's okay.
it's okay. You
Yeah.
know, I don't want people beating themselves up, you know, if they feel like they can't get out of bed that morning. You know, you deal with it in the best way that you can possibly can, because we have not dealt with anything like this before. Our lives dramatically changed within weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's good. That's good. So you just gave us a whoo, take it all in, y'all. It's a lot. I'm sorry, y'all. I get to get this all the time, so you know, I'm
You do.
because I feel like with Kyra, we've grown together as friends, as sisters. I feel like us when we met and us now are totally different people, and that's so beautiful.
Hello.
When you get to link with somebody or become friends with somebody and you grow together.
Yeah, we did. Even if you could see our early photography sessions, we both were like rusty, like
Yeah.
not. I really, it is funny when I see, because Janelle, she's like my photographer. I don't let anybody else. Like,
I'm really her personal photographer. Yeah, I ain't going.
yeah. And it's just very interesting. Like, I see my growth from my first shoot to the last shoot that we done, but I also see your growth from our first photo shoot to the last photo shoot. Like, it's amazing at your growth, you know, and you becoming a photographer.
Right. And now host. You know, I'm just checking them off.
Yeah, listen, you got to be well rounded. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, yeah, look, I'm trying to tell you, we met. First of all, we met. And I was like, ooh, she looks so mean. She probably not even gonna talk to me.
I thought you were mean too.
She looked like one of those really bougie. Don't let this scarf fool you. Like she was you look like you look like one of them really bougie Philly girls. And then she thought I was mean, and then we end up playing football.
Yes.
And from
Yes.
there, photography, she honestly, Kyra is the reason that I got back into photography, as well as my best friend, you know, trying to get me to get back into it by loaning me his camera. But Kyra had this picture, right? And I was like, you know, like that's a good picture. Like she was like, oh, I suck at taking pictures. And I was like, no, you don't suck at taking pictures. It's about the photographer. It's about the person
Right.
you're making you comfortable. And that goes back to making somebody comfortable in the atmosphere. So I just happened to be the person that made her comfortable, and we've
Yep.
expanded from there. And that's kind of where I base my photography off of is you can't be comfortable with me, then we need to have a chat session. I do chat
Yeah.
sessions. Call me, FaceTime me first. Where it's not just a business, it's a relationship. So
She pushed me out my element, y'all. Like
oh,
at one point she had me in a bralette and a skirt, and I was all like, and then we had to argue back and forth about shoes, and we finally like she let me put on the Chucks. Okay. Like
look, I had jeans and a t-shirt when I started with her.
yeah.
Okay. She out here in full gowns.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I do appreciate you. You already know I appreciate you. So I couldn't have done this show without having you on because your story is amazing. And she only gave you like this much, this much of her story. But we're gonna wait for when she wins the
And
award.
it's never too late, guys. I'm sorry, I did not mean to
Never,
interrupt.
no, it's no for real. It's never too late. Kyra
Never
is
too late. I was 34 years old when I decided to go into producing. I was 35 when I quit my corporate job. Now I'm 36. It's not too late to follow your dreams. Never too late. I just wanted to say that.
No, that's true. And that's important because a lot of people are out there thinking like, oh, I'm 30 something. My time is over. Your time is just
No.
begun. Like
Okay.
for real. Your time has just begun, okay?
Yes.
So take all of the information that Kyra has given you. I would say I would suggest write it down, write your goals down, write something that you've always wanted to do, and then write why you stopped. And then write how can you get back to it. So I feel like this session or this episode is really about getting back into the things that you love and going forward. Don't
Yes.
let this pandemic stop you. Don't let this pandemic keep you down. Mental wellness is important. So do the things that make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is eating chips, because every Taco Tuesday, I got something.
Yes.
Every Taco Tuesday, okay? I haven't missed a Taco Tuesday since the pandemic happened.
Yes.
I
Okay.
didn't go nowhere. But we're gonna get into the last part. Every segment, every episode, I have the guests choose a game out of a list of games, and we play that at the end as a way to go out on a fun note. So you chose this or that.
Yes.
So I know that Kyra loves food. I know Kyra loves film. So a lot of that is inside of here. And what's your favorite food?
Oh, it depends.
Oh my stars. What we about to see.
Okay. Oh,
So this is your edition. This is the special Kyra edition. This or that. Juice or soda?
soda.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee. Can't start my day without it.
Breakfast or dinner?
Brunch.
True. You are a brunch girl. Scratch both. Brunch. Hip hop or R&B?
R&B.
Now,
Oh, but wait, I gotta clarify that that late 1990s R&B, that early 2000s R&B, that mint
oh,
condition Blackstreet,
that's just a
Jodeci,
gathering.
that statement like, that R&B.
Okay. Well, Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Pancakes or waffles?
Oh, pancakes if they're crispy on the edges.
Oh, okay. See, I'm a waffle girl. That pancake, it's,
Crispy on the edges.
I can understand that. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Fall or spring?
Fall, because spring, my allergies, as we saw in the beginning.
For real. Text message or call?
Text. I have to do a lot of talking during work. So by the time I'm done, I don't want to talk.
True. Love or money?
Love.
Book or movie?
Book.
Romance or action?
Action.
Pizza or pasta?
Oh, pizza.
Marvel or DC?
Ooh, Marvel.
Hey, Devil Wears Prada or Mean Girls?
Devil Wears Prada every day. I read the book and I saw the movie and I read the sequel to the book.
Hotel or Airbnb?
Hotel, because I like amenities.
And sleep in or up early?
Sleep in.
With your tacos on Taco Tuesday, okay?
Right. Sleep in with a bottle of champagne so I can have mimosas and brunch in bed.
So out of this and that, she likes to sleep in with her bottle of mimosa to have brunch, okay? And it has to be fall because spring messes up her allergies.
As we all saw at the beginning.
Ooh, that was a good intro. Well, don't sneeze again, because this is our outro.
Okay.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for coming on and spitting your wisdom and sharing your story and being transparent. Thank you for being the queen that you are. You're dope. You're amazing. You're beautiful, and you are my sister.
Thank you. I showered for you today.
And she really means it, y'all. Okay, this pandemic got people acting different. I showered for you too. Okay.
You sometimes forget to wash your ass sometimes.
So no, audience, please, please, please wash your ass. Okay. All right. Once again, thank you so much. Please tell everybody where they can find you on social media, where they can find your work as well.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram, Kyra Knox _ Twitter, because I love Twitter more than Instagram. Kyra Knox _ and you will soon find my work on Vimeo. I am in the process of working on my first producer's reel that my good friend Devicia is editing for me. So soon I will have a professional Vimeo page, and that will also be where people will be able to see the trailer for my docuseries. Well, doc, because I don't know if it's going to be a docuseries, a doc, or a short doc. So yeah, I got to figure it out.
Well, we'll be waiting for whatever it is. I know I will, to click, like, and share. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Please, y'all, go follow Kyra and all of her beautiful work. She's amazing. And this is the segment. Thank you for tuning into the Creators Corner. I'm Janelle, your host, and that is Miss Beautiful Kyra Knox. And we will talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.